That's the one thing that I do actually really fear a lot, is failing. But at the same time, I think what overrules that is the fear of not doing it. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather take that risk to know, do you know what? Let me see what's going to happen. Like, to me, with anything I do, it is about consistency, you know, and I always do think, like, I'll have these things in mind that I want to try or I want to do. Whether I'm going to be successful at doing it, whether it's going to go somewhere, I just want to try it, just to know that. I'd rather try something to know that I failed at doing it, rather than not trying something and then being like, oh, I wonder what if. I hate that feeling to think of what if. You know, I don't want to feel that. I'd rather take that risk and be like, oh, shit, that didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, you know?
This can handle like talking through this kind of stuff too. Placement wise, down there, something. We'll figure that out at the end. Like this is how everything will get like an adhesive that helps this carbon, I guess, print to get onto the skin and at least last longer. Kev, I honestly appreciate you being here. And you know, the one thing that I find that's really similar to me and you is the fact that like we explore different kinds of career paths, right? Like different hopping from here to there. And you know, since we met too, like you were a barber, so I just wanted to hear the early stages of like, how did this all begin?
So let's go back now. Gee, when did I start barbering? When I was like 17.
17.
Yeah, so it started when I was 17. The journey started when I was at college, and I didn't really know what I don't know, I guess like anyone, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my career. And I was at college studying travel and tourism, obviously nothing to do with barbering.
Hospitality, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, basically I've always had shaven head. So where I always had a shaven head, I always used to cut my own hair. And then one of my friends wanted their haircut, and then ended up randomly cutting his hair.
Okay, you just bought some clippers and...
Yeah, because I had the clippers cut my own hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wanted his haircut. So I thought, well, how hard could this be? And then, yeah, just randomly started cutting his hair. And then just from that, I was just like, you know what, I actually really enjoy cutting hair. I enjoy the creativity behind it. Because, I don't know, I guess when I was doing travel and tourism, like the whole thing with travel and tourism was traveling, it was seeing the world. But I was still very creative, and still very creative now.
Yes.
So, yeah, started cutting his hair. And then from that, started cutting my other friend's hair. And then after finishing travel and tourism, yeah, it must have been like 18, 19. And then that's when I decided, you know what, I actually really want to get into barbering. So decided to go back to college and study hairdressing. And then that's when the journey started.
What has been, I guess, the best part of like taking that risk from changing to hospitality to that?
I guess the thing is, you know, if I look back now, like I've been doing it over 20 years, and the experiences that I've had from it, I never thought when I first started that it would take me as far as what it has taken me. I guess first off, like I said, I mean, it was just something that I enjoyed doing. It was an easy way to make money. You know, if I wasn't making money from it, it would be friends buying me drinks and nights out and stuff like that.
A little trade?
Yeah,
Trade?
And you know what it's like. It's the whole talking to people. It's the, you know, every day is completely different. Everyone has a story to tell. And yeah, I mean, I guess it was one of them ones that I first started off in the barbershop, like I said, after finishing travel and tourism.
Yeah.
Worked in the barbershop for 4 years, cutting men's hair. And then I just wanted to learn ladies hairdressing. So that's when I started with Tony and Guy. Started doing ladies hairdressing with Tony and Guy for like 11 years. And then after doing that, then left off, done my own thing, which is what I'm doing now. But yeah, I guess it's the greatest thing is just meeting the people, the experiences, you know, obviously with what I do now with the education, it's traveling the world, you know.
Because you have achieved a lot at your stage, right? Like even from the looking at the awards over there, like was that ever the plan?
Do you know what? Like I guess honestly, like if I think about it, like I've always wanted more in anything I do, you know, whether it's to do with work, whether it's to do with fitness, I guess now, whether it's to do with if I'm creating something, a brand or my photography, I've always wanted to be the best that I could possibly be, you know. I guess the thing is with the awards, it was never a case of, obviously when I first entered awards, it would be like, right, I really want to win this award. I really want to be the top. I really want to be known. But it was always about like, right, how far can I push myself? How can I, you know, sort of work towards the next thing? You know, awards to me is, you've got goals that you want to achieve to create a new collection that's going to be better from the last one that you created.
Yeah, so the reason why I mentioned the whole multiple career paths, because I would go through that too. And I don't know if this is an artist thing. Like, what's your opinion on that? Like, do you feel that we, just as creatives, we tend to veer off to different things to satisfy that need of like, either we get too bored or like, what drives you to even just want to be like, okay, let me get into fitness. Let me go do something else. Why go away from something that was so successful to you?
Do you know what? It's really funny you're saying something like that, because even for me, like I even question myself that as well. I always think to myself, okay, when is enough really going to be enough? You know, when is it ever going to stop? Like, when am I going to think to myself, right, okay, you know, right, just chill for a bit, you know, like enjoy the journey. You know, I'm always thinking to myself that, and I guess, I don't know, like I've always wanted to work on the next thing. I'm always like this, actually, to be fair. Like, it's like whatever I'm working on now, I'm always a bit like, right, it's already happening. Let me think about what's the next thing that I'm working on. I'm always trying to work on multiple things.
Okay.
And I guess it's just because I like to keep my mind occupied. You know, I like to think to myself, okay, if I'm working on one project, what could possibly be the next project, and what could that project possibly lead to the next thing? I always like to tie things in quite differently.
Yeah.
So even though I don't really necessarily have a strategic plan, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, okay, like, for example, like now, like I'm doing this whole course of like personal training, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be a year course. After the year course, where do I want to take it next? And then how do I want to develop that? And what do I want to sort of achieve within doing it? I just get bored, you know, to be fair. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the boredom.
But the boredom turns into mastery, which is so impressive about you. Like, you're able to kind of transfer, maybe there's like a blueprint that you have, and is that what it is? Like, you know, okay, this is what it takes to be a barber, or this is what it takes to get to that level of fitness, which we'll talk more about. But, or is it more just curiosity? Like, hey, I think I could do that, and that's enough, right?
Yeah, I guess it's, like, to me, with anything I do, it is about consistency, you know, and I always do think like I'll have these things in mind that I want to try or I want to do, whether I'm going to be successful at doing it, whether it's going to go somewhere. I just want to try it, just to know that.
Yeah.
I'd rather try something to know that I failed at doing it, rather than not trying something and then being like, oh, I wonder what if. I hate that feeling to think of what if. Like, to live a life to think, oh, what if I done that? Or what if I took that risk? You know, I don't want to feel that. I'd rather take that risk and be like, oh, shit, that didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, you know? I hate thinking that I could possibly fail at something. That's the one thing that I do actually really fear a lot, is failing. But at the same time, I think what overrules that is the fear of not doing it. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather take that risk to know, do you know what? Let me see what's going to happen. Like, for example, like I guess I look at it like this, for example, like if I was down the gym the other day and I was training, and I had to do like a 1 rep max on ring muscle ups, which is the reason why I'm cut up on my wrist. So this coach that I used, he basically estimated to do a ring muscle up at like, I think it was like 22 to 25 kg, which is bloody heavy.
Wow, that is heavy.
And I kind of like started building up to it. And I think I started off with like 10 kg, then it went 15 kg, and I was like, shit, this is heavy. So then after 15, I decided to go straight up to 25, and I failed. And I just couldn't do it. And then I went to 20 and I failed, I couldn't do it. And I was so pissed off that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then doing things like that humble me to think, right, okay, everything's a process. Everything's about taking your time, taking a step back. Like, because I know there will be a chance that I'll be able to get that, but I need to obviously build up to it. Do you know what I mean? Yes. So like it is just about consistency. It's about taking your time, thinking about how am I going to get to that end goal or anything that I want to achieve, and then circling back. And trying not to be pissed off too much, and you know, to try and let it defeat you, just to be like, oh no, fuck it, I'm not going to try again. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Which I think a lot of people do, because that's the easiest thing to do, isn't it? It's the easiest thing to give up and just be like, oh, do you know what? No, I couldn't do it. Let me just give up and just not bother trying again. You know?
Absolutely.
Which I do feel like a lot of people do.
So what would you tell them then, if they, like, when it comes to consistency, because it does take that kind of like I guess willpower and discipline, right?
Yeah, and that's the word. It's discipline. Like a lot of it's discipline, because it's like, it's fair enough to be consistent, but like you really need to be disciplined in order to really make sure that you're going to be setting your goals to plan out to do whatever you want to do, you know? Because like, for example, you know, you have to be disciplined enough to like say to yourself, okay, right, these are the set tasks that I need to do in order to get to that end goal. Yes. Like me, like I have to be so disciplined to wake up in the morning if I want to get up to the go to the gym so early in the morning, you know.
And with you being in the gym too, like we can't deny it. Like from what you post and stuff, like your transformation has been incredible. And I'm so curious to know, like, when was that moment you looked in the mirror and was just like, I need to make a change?
Well, the whole crazy thing with the whole fitness side to things, I mean, like, again, because obviously we're having this conversation where, you know, as we said before, you know, it's about opening up and like, you know, we can get as deep as we want to. The fitness is such a weird one for me, because everyone's like, oh, Kev, you're so into your fitness. Like, you know, you wake up early in the morning, you do this, you do that, you know, you train hard. But I never really was into fitness as a kid. Like when I was at school, like I was always the fat kid. Like
so even at an early age?
Yeah, so even at an early age, I was always that kid where, you know, if I go back and start thinking back even when I was at school, for example, I just remember being at school, you know, and the games, whether it's football, rounders, I don't know, team sport games, like I'd always be the last one that people would call upon, because I was the big kid. Like I was the one that wasn't really into my sports. Like I didn't really care. You know, I obviously took part because I had to, because it was school. But then I even remember, like, you know, sports days, and I don't know if we had to do like the runs and stuff like that. I'd always come last. And, you know, even though I'd say to myself it didn't bother me, probably if I look back now, back then it did bother me. Like, and I didn't want to be that kid, but unfortunately I was, you know, because I was big, I was overweight. Yeah. You know, the fitness wasn't there. I don't like my food. So that's obviously what was the main cause behind it. Yeah. And then I guess the fitness really came about when I was 21, 22. I was with a girl for like 2-3 years. She split up with me, and you know, she really broke my heart. She was like my first proper girlfriend that I had. So
long term?
It was like long term. You know, I think I was with her from the age of like 19 to 21.
19 to 21. Wow.
And it's one of those ones, like, you know, she was the first one that really, you know, like I met her family, she met my family. And honestly, I thought I was going to be with her for the rest of my life. And then she split up with me. And then that was like a really, like, to me, it like really broke my heart, because it was one of those ones that like I'd never experienced being with a girl for such a long time and then that happening. And then, yeah, she split up with me, and I just thought, fucking hell, I've put on so much weight. I need to really sort of like get myself back into shape. And I guess, you know, at this point I decided to join a gym, didn't really know what I was doing, start working out, start moving out a little bit more. And I think I was so overweight And where I was so big, when I first started eating a bit more healthier and moving more down the gym, that's actually when I started seeing a bit of a change quite rapidly. Because when you're that big, like, and you start making quick changes, you do lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time.
It shows, doesn't it?
Yeah. So then I started losing the weight, and then after that, I just started getting into my fitness. Obviously, at this point, it was like my sort of like early 20s. I started going out with my friends, clubbing, pubs, nightclubs and all that. And then, just started just really enjoying myself and like, being single, messing around with my friends, going on holidays and whatever else.
Yeah.
The fitness was there, but it was never a massive thing.
No.
And then, just continued that through. And then I'd say probably I must have been about 28. And then I decided to move into London, start working in London, start going out in London again. But then what actually happened slowly, I started putting on weight again.
Was there something significant going on in your life at that time that triggered?
Do you know, I was just so busy with work, living the lifestyle in London, eating out, all that sort
habits,
of shit.
Right? Yeah.
And then after that, then obviously met up with Jen, like my wife now. So many people said it as well. It's like I've covered it up really well. Like a lot of people, even when we first met in 2017, like I wasn't as big as what I was in 2019, but that's when it sort of started creeping up more.
Okay,
so 2017, I started putting on more weight because the thing was the traveling, it was the in and out of airports, airplane food, going to different countries, clients taking me out, like trying new foods. And I just didn't really, and back then I was drinking as well, not like loads, but like I was drinking. And obviously if I was drinking, I'd eat more food. And it's, if I'm going to places like Italy, Spain and America, it's like the food's
vacation
amazing.
mode every time. Yeah, I know that feeling.
And then, just started eating all that food, putting weight. And then 2018 is when we found out that Jen was pregnant.
Yes.
And then when that happened, obviously Theo was born 21st of May 2019. But then it was at that stage that I thought, you know what, I just don't want to be a fat dad. And that was the one thing, I tell this story to a lot of people. I think whenever you're wanting to do something that's going to be of a significant change, whether it's losing weight, I don't know, a business venture or something needs to happen in your life where you're just like, right, I need to fucking make shit happen now.
Yeah. You need kind of that push.
Yeah. You need that purpose. You need that why, And the why for me really was, one, I wanted to be a fit husband and I wanted to be a fit dad, I didn't want to be running around after Theo and out of breath.
Yeah. Because you're right. Like when I met you, I would not consider you big at any expense, right? Like it was, and seeing like your journey through the pandemic, I thought that's when it started, but it clearly seems like you yo-yoed into it, right?
So, and that's a good thing is that I feel like 2019 is when it first started. That was March 2019 when it first started. I ended up doing my transformation, lost all that weight and got to the physique that I wanted to get to at the December 2019. So it was a 9-month transformation.
9 months, wow, that's quick.
Yeah, because I just went beast mode. Like I just had in my head, I was just like, fuck it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it proper. Would I recommend what I'd done to other people? No, I wouldn't. I always say like, do it in a way that's going to fit your lifestyle. Yes. But I just really want to prove to myself that I can do this in 9 months. And to be fair, it was because I said to this PT who I was using for a little while, I said to him, I was like, I want to basically lose all this weight in 9 months and I want a 6-pack in 9 months. And he basically just said to me, it's not going to happen.
He knows the statistics and how
and it's true. Like he doesn't know the statistics. It's like, if he said, if you want to make this happen, he said, like, it's not impossible, but like the commitment and the sacrifices you'll have to make, he said it's going to be like a lot. And he said, if you want to do it, because he knew that I traveled and all that, he was like, you can do it, but like, this is what you have to do. And I said, like, I'm going to do it. I said, and I'm the type of guy, it's like, if I set my mind that I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah, your willpower is some other stuff.
It's like when I get to the stage, when I'm like, I'm going to do this, it's like, I'm going to fucking do it. Like, I will find any way, shape or form to do it. Like I will literally, it's like, I'm so driven and so motivated and so, it's like it becomes an obsession. It literally becomes an obsession to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, things like, right, I wanted to run a half marathon in under 2 hours. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to find out how to do it. You know, I wanted to run races, like 10Ks. I'm going to do it, you know, and it's like.
But what's that process to beast mode? Like, what are you tapping into when you get to that? Like, some people, you know, waking up the next day, there's an excuse waiting for you, right? Like, how do you stay, here we go again, consistent?
So do you know what I think it is? I think it then stems back to like, I just don't want to be a failure. And I don't want to be a failure to myself. It's like, I think to myself, if I don't do this, I'm going to be a fucking failure. And then I guess having Theo now, it's like, right, okay, I want to be that guy that's going to be like, right, okay, my dad can, if he sets his mind to do something, my dad will do it. And that's what I want the trait to him to have as well.
Yeah, so you're leading by example at this stage in your life.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
Exactly. Like, just hopefully not with the tattoos. Though.
Yeah. Let's see.
Because he is drawn on his hand saying,
is he
Daddy, I've got a tattoo. I'm like, no, you haven't.
Yeah, he's just copying you, literally. Oh my gosh.
But to be fair, like I mean, it's one of those ones. I think, well, obviously with tattoos, like when he gets older, if he wants it, I'll be like, of course. Yeah, I'm like, of course you can have it. Like, but I'll just be like, right, I'm going to Canada, going to see Ico.
Going back into the fitness, and I'm always curious about like sustainability and making sure, you know, everyone's different, right? Every body shape, you're like, I'm sure so many like factors are involved to that. Like, what do you feel about these fad diets? And as we seen yesterday, like you're not into smoothies and all that too.
No. So the thing is, fat diets, like I don't believe in personally myself. Do they work? Of course they work. Do they work well for some people? Yeah, of course. But to me, like for example, like I do intermittent fasting. Like I do it, but then I do it just because, you know, we spoke about this before. Like I love food. I love eating. Like I eat all the time. Like I will literally like eat consistently if I could. But and that's the whole reason why I do intermittent fasting. It's just so it enables me to eat more frequently in a short amount of time.
Okay, so you kind of like, you balance it with working extremely hard to earn the opportunity to eat anything you want, right?
Exactly. But no, fad diets, I don't think they're a bad thing, but like you need to understand why is it that you're doing it. Like Chris, for example, like who was doing it yesterday with the shakes. You know, people will turn around and say like, oh, I'm doing this because of time and convenience. But I'm just like, okay, well, what did you do the night before? I watched a film on Netflix. It's like, well, you could have spent that time just to obviously meal prep what you want to meal prep. But that's the thing. It's like, I feel like people, it's about priorities, isn't it? Now, understanding where is your priorities, what do you want to do, how do you want to do it, and also why do you want to do it? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So there's that, I guess the trifecta of it, right? Like it needs to have action towards that. And the trigger and purpose, right? And it's interesting too, because like you got into calisthenics, right? Like why did you resonate with that?
Well, I think with the calisthenics, that obviously where I got into my fitness in 2019, 2020, obviously the pandemic hit. And then obviously when the pandemic hit, all the gyms closed. So it was very much like, right, okay, if I want to get still into like the fitness, I need to still work out from home, and got the bars. And then obviously ended up doing that. And then again, it just became an obsession. It literally became an obsession because it's like, to manipulate your body and to control your body in that manner, doing calisthenics is...
That's hard. You think lifting weights, but no holding your own body weight in that poses, like that's impressive.
Like with calisthenics, it's like, obviously, I think with any weight training that you do, like even if you're like pulling weights and you're doing resistant machines, there is going to be an element of calisthenics involved. Do you know what I mean? You might do pull-ups anyway, you might do push-ups. But I think when it was the pandemic, that's when I started to really do my research into calisthenics and sort of like see, I never really knew that sort of stuff really existed. Like I never knew that you could do like a muscle up. I never really knew about like front levers, back levers, hands. Well, I knew about handstands. But to me, it was very much like, I just thought gymnasts did that. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't know that it was something that was an actual workout, should we say. And I guess it was like anything. I just thought it was a party trick.
It's a party trick.
Yeah, you know, a lot of these people doing it, I just thought, oh yeah, that looks pretty cool. But then when you start actually like looking more into it, and the way how I work out now in my fitness, I've changed a lot. Like a lot, because...
In terms of how?
In terms of when I first started, let's say when I first started 2019, the goal was to lose weight. The goal was to lose weight, look good, and be fit and healthy. But the ultimate goal was to look good. It was more of an aesthetics thing.
Okay.
Then 2020 happened, then it was the pandemic. So then 2020 to, let's just say the end of 2020 to 21, it was right, okay, let me try and maintain this. How can I maintain this throughout the pandemic and not access to a gym? So then calisthenics started. So 21 was actually starting the running. So then running started happening 2021. And then it was 2022 that it was like, oh, let me continue doing calisthenics and let me try and show off with the moves that I can do.
Yeah.
Because this looks super cool because no one down the gym can do it. And then at the end of 2022, now into 2023, the way in my mindset how I train now is just like, I want to train for life. I want to be stronger in life. I still do calisthenics, don't get me wrong, but I work a lot of like my compound movements. So I'm doing like a lot more squats, deadlifts, functional fitness, because I want to be able to get to the stage where I'm 60, 70 years old and I can still move freely.
Yes, you're flexible and you're able to hold yourself
mobility,
up like that.
flexibility I'm working on.
So then your fitness turned from aesthetics to like longevity.
Correct.
Okay.
But the thing is the way that I train now, without even trying, the aesthetics come with it.
Yeah, that's the best reward,
which is the beauty of how I train now. It's like I don't actually need to train for aesthetics and worry about that. I'm really concentrating on technique, form, training to get stronger.
Yeah.
And what happens with that is, the aesthetics show from it. You know, I feel stronger inside, I feel stronger outside, I look stronger, you know, I can manipulate my body still, you know, I can run still, I can do all the stuff that I want to do. But and that's the thing. I think it first came an obsession, and it wasn't a healthy obsession because it was one of those ones that it was just too much. Like I was all very much like, you know, just too anal with shit. Like
your form and everything like this?
No, more so like, you know, Jen will be like, oh, I'm going to eat out, and I'll be like, oh, I need to check the menu to make sure that I can eat something in there before I go.
Okay.
And then it got to the stage where, you know, we'd go on holiday and I'll be like, oh shit, I need to find out that there's a gym there. But it was more so because of the aesthetic shape, because I wanted to maintain that because I was scared that I was going to get fat. Now it's like, if I go on holiday, I want to make sure there's a gym there so I can still train and be strong.
Having Theo be that motivation, what has fatherhood done for you, and like how has it changed you?
Just so much. Like fatherhood for me, having Theo, having a family, it's just my everything, you know. It's just that really is my true purpose in life now, is to make sure that like Jen and Theo are safe, make sure that they're provided for, and like I said, to be a role model for him and to teach him the ways that I guess I never really got taught. And I'm not saying that my mother and my father taught me bad, because they're amazing. They're great at what they taught me, you know, but you know, the thing is with my mum and dad, like from what I remember, it's like, you know, my mum and dad would go to work, you know, they'd work hard, there'd always be food on the table, we'd go on nice holidays and stuff like that. But I feel like they weren't present. And that's why I just feel like I'm so blessed with what I do, is like I get to pick and choose when I want to work. I get to work from home. I get to spend time with Theo. I really get to spend quality time with Theo. And I had quality time with my mum and dad, of course, but it's like, I don't know, I guess the one thing that I kind of wish I got taught by my mum and dad is that you don't need to go to school. You don't need to go to uni. You don't need to work for people. You don't need to work for the man. It's like, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. And I guess the reason why I got brought up where, you know, you need to go to school, you need to study, you need to go and get a job, blah, 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 is of course because they want that security for you. They want that safety for you. You know, I get it. But like for Theo, it's very much like, I really try and teach him things like, if he wants something or if he wants to do something, I'm like, right, Theo, I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's do it together. I mean, for example, like he wanted to try and pick up that chair that I was talking to you about this morning.
Poof,
so he tried to pick up this poof this morning and he couldn't do it. And he started like whinging and crying. So, Daddy, I can't do it. And I was like, look, bend your knees, use your hands and push up with knees. The chair's really heavy, so I couldn't do it. But then I just slipped my foot on the underneath. And then just slowly picked it up. So it kind of like, he thought he was doing it.
Oh, really?
But it showed him that like, you know, this is, you need to try to do it. You know?
There's a way.
Yeah, there's a way. But yeah, I just really want to be that role model for him, just to be like, I want him to get to the stage where, like, I love my mum and dad so much, I really do. But like, for example, if I'm in deep shit, they'd probably be the last people that I call on. Do you know what I mean? Like for advice or anything like that.
You'll get scolded or something?
No,
Or
because I feel like I don't feel comfortable to have a conversation with them about that. I don't feel comfortable to be like, oh, Dad, I'm fucking up at the moment. Like, I don't know when my next job's coming in. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And I guess what I want is to have that relationship with Theo when he's 30, when he's 40, to be like, Dad, I need some advice. Can you help me out? Do you know what I mean? And that's what I really want. And it's like, I mean, it's partly probably because I don't feel comfortable asking my mum and dad, but it's like I said, I haven't really had that relationship with them. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The relationship would be like, Mum, can you make me some food?
Yeah, it's more service. But
Yeah.
I also find too, it's culturally, right? Like being a Filipino myself, like that, pushing your child either to become a nurse or to be in that field. And I guess we can't blame them because they're coming from a generation where that's survival, right? Like in order for
Exactly.
you to get a job, you need to study and you need to go there. But there's also that reality that like times have changed and we need to innovate and like, or try different things to survive in this modern world, right?
And that's the thing. It's like, I do find now, it's like, you really can't survive on just one thing. I mean, we spoke about it. You can't, I think, look, you can get by on one thing, but I don't want to get by. I want to be able to do all the nice things. I want to have freedom. That's ultimately why I work so hard, is to have freedom. Not even about financials. It's not even about, being able to buy the next thing. It's not even about having something that's bigger and better. It's really just about having freedom.
And what does freedom look like to you? Like,
I guess freedom to me would be more the way how I'd feel. So it's like carefree.
Yes.
To be carefree and not to worry about shit and not to, I don't know. And I don't get me wrong, I do feel like that now, don't get me wrong, because I work for myself. I don't need to answer to people. I don't need to check in or anything like that, or like be like, oh, can I have some time off? You know what I mean? Or anything like that. But
permission.
but I guess it's like, I want to get to that stage where I know there's things happening in the background and I can do bits and bobs, you know what I mean? Like remotely, which I can do now, but
there's still a grind, isn't there?
it's still a grind, yeah. But at the same time, like, I'm like anything, it's all a journey, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
It's all about enjoying the journey, and we're trying to enjoy the journey as much as possible. Do you know one thing that I don't do enough, and I guess a lot of creative people don't do, is the reflections.
The reflections.
Yeah, to reflect back to where we came from.
Like just go back into your past and see what you've accomplished. And
Exactly. To what we've accomplished, to how far we've got to what we've got now, to appreciate what we've got. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I feel like I want to try and do a bit more, especially when shit's not going your way. Absolutely. You beat yourself up sometimes far too much, and is it really needed?
Yes. Well, we're our biggest critics, aren't we?
Yeah.
And going back to that, like it's definitely hard to feel like we've done enough and to remind ourselves, because again, especially in that moment, we're just like, I don't feel that way. Like, this is hard. Yeah.
And this is where I think it comes back to, like, I really want to try and learn to be present. Do you know what I mean? And present in what we're doing right now to what we've accomplished. Like, I honestly, like, I do think about it, like how, fuck, I've got a beautiful family, I've got a beautiful wife, I've got a beautiful son, I've got a house that we own, we own our cars, I've got this studio, I've got good people around me. I haven't got too many people, which is great, because I don't want too many people around me.
Yeah. What's enough?
Do you know what? I'm still trying to figure that out myself. It's one of those ones I'm trying to figure out. And the thing is, it's like I think I am okay with still figuring it out, because again, I feel like that's part of my journey. Because I feel like some of my journey started off with like, all right, let's try and kill it, let's try and smash it, let's try and do as much as possible. Let's try and do all that, and then now I guess I'm trying to really try and figure myself out a bit more. You know what I mean?
A lot of people will feel that way, where they're chasing something, but it's just, where am I going with this, right?
Sometimes, do you know what? Sometimes I feel like I'm on a treadmill, even though sometimes what I need to do on that treadmill is look at the number and look at the distance that I've covered. which
see
is,
what's in front of you.
yeah,
And
exactly that. It's actually
Yeah.
to see what is right in front of you
yeah,
and appreciate it. I don't really care about what other people are doing. I don't really give a shit, to be fair.
you're really good with that.
Yeah,
Just,
I'm very much
yeah.
like, look, you do you, boo. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very good with,
You're in your own lane.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's through social media. It's obviously hard to look at it's hard to not look at what other people are doing. But at the same time, I don't really care. And I guess the reason why I don't care too much is because I know I'm really, really fucking great at what I do. And I know I'm great at what I do with all the things that I do. So it's kind of like I'm not really even that, you know, I'm not that fussed, or I'm not that.
You don't let it get to you.
Yeah, I don't let it go to me. And like all the fucking shit that happened with, and I guess like all the bad talk with people, I don't care. Yeah.
'Cause the biggest thing that I obviously admire about you is your generosity and your willing and just genuineness to help. And I was always just wondering, like, is that something you had in the come up? Like, did a lot of people help you, or were you always on your own and now you're kind of paying it forward for others?
So I guess with something like that, again, you know, that's the upbringing from my parents. You know, like they've always been helpful to me. You know, I've always been taught, you know, correct manners, respect your elderly, you know, all that sort of stuff, which then obviously, of course, I passed down to Theo. But I guess with me, when I never really, no one taught me how to be the person that I am, and no one taught me how to be an educator and educate the way that I do. No one taught me how to like take photos. You know, no one taught me about like business, didn't go to business school or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like I'm winging life.
Yeah. Okay.
But I guess that's why I like helping people, and I only like helping genuine people.
Okay.
Like I will help people,
Yeah.
but there are people that ask me for help, and I'm just like, I'm never rude,
No.
and I just say like I'm busy, I can't do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So you're kind of picky of who you spend your energy on.
yeah,
basically.
because the thing is, it's like at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to waste anyone's time as much as I want them to waste my time. Do you know what I mean? And it's not even a case that I help people that it's going to be of benefit for me. Like I will help anyone. It's like if I genuinely think that they need help, or they're good people and they, you know, a good person, like I will help them. You know what I mean? I'm not that type of guy that's like, you know, oh no, I'm only gonna fuck with these people because you fuck with those people. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not
it's
like
all
that.
about the what you're getting from them, right?
Yeah,
They're benefiting
exactly.
from
And
that.
that's the problem. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I'll only help you if you're gonna give something back to me in return. It's but no, it doesn't really work like that.
Do you feel like the hair industry or barber industry is like that? Because like coming from my world too, you feel that competitiveness, and how do you still, you know, stay connected to people and want to collaborate without?
I think
that.
I think every industry is like it, you know, and anything they do is always going to be that sense of like competitiveness. You know, you need to know the right type of people and all that, which is such a shame because it shouldn't really be like that in life in general. You know what I mean? Everyone should help everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter who you know, doesn't matter what type you're like. You know, it's like anything, isn't it? Like let's just say, for example, if you go to like a posh 5-star hotel and you're wearing a hoodie and the hood's over your head and you kind of like dressed really casual, they're going to treat you completely different if you walk in there as wearing a suit, when I don't think things like that should happen, you know?
No.
But that's the unfortunate thing, is the reality that we're in. It's the world that we live in, right?
Yes.
People always judge you upon the way that you look, upon the way who you know, who you're sort of like affiliated with, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Did you learn certain lessons about like just people that you've worked with? Like, was it big ones that changed your life?
Like a lot of the big names that I've worked with, and a lot of people that I kind of like know in the industry that I have big influence. I tell you one thing, what's made me realize, especially when I've got to know them, is we're all the same. There's no fucking difference between them and I.
It humbles you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's just maybe luck, or there's something involved.
You know, I've met a lot of like influencers, famous people, billionaires, millionaires, and you have a conversation with them. They're the same. We're all the same. We all fucking go through the same struggles. You know. Absolutely. We wake up in the morning, we need a piss. You know, we eat a big food.
Speaking of clients, like, who has been like I guess the coolest person or just the best advice you've gotten from someone you've met through the industry?
But there was this client that I used to cut when he was living here in London. And I met him because he used to live in New York. He used to get his hair cut from one of my friends who's a barber of New York, moved to London. So started cutting his hair. Anyway, when it was such an interesting guy, I must have cut his hair for like maybe about 3 years that he was living in London. And like anything, when you first cut someone's hair or first tattoo someone, it's a very, hi, how are you? What do you do for a living? You know, very minimal in the conversation. Then as you start to, you start to get to know them, they start opening up, you start to get to open up as well. And then it was really interesting because when I spoke to him, I said, oh, what brings you to London? I was like, what was you doing over in America? And when he was in America, he basically used to be the general manager for the Wim Hotel in Vegas. So he was fucking like, he knew a lot of people. And then as I started getting to know him and asking him more questions, he basically used to live in Miami. He used to host a lot of like nightclubs and events in Miami. And then obviously he went to Vegas, started doing it for the Wim Hotel. But like he's the people that he used to deal with was like DJ Khaled, Drake, Lil Wayne, all these big, shows. And then came to London. The reason why he came to London was because he was going to open up a hotel in London with his partner. But then what happened because of COVID, that all fell through. So then he moved back he's actually living over in Bali now because he's got a hotel over in Bali. But anyway, long story short, the reason why it was so interesting cutting his hair, because this guy's a multi-millionaire. And I said to him, I asked him, when I got to the stage, probably 2.5 years of knowing him, we was joking, we had fun with each other. And I said to him, I was like, do you mind if I ask you a personal question? And he was like, yeah, of course. He was like, what do you want to know? I was like, do you ever get to the stage in your career, in your life, when you just think to yourself, why the fuck am I doing this? And he turned around and said to me, all the time.
All the time.
And that gave me so much reassurance to be like, do you know what? Like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like in my head, I'm thinking, there's someone like that, you have all these millions, you have these houses, you have it all, but you still question yourself, why the fuck am I doing this?
But I guess we've learned that, right? That like these materialistic things or whatever, all this stuff that we collect is like, it's not enough.
And it's like, are you really living life? And that's what I want to do. It's like, I want to live life. Like, I want to live to work. I want to work to live. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Where are you in your journey?
Now it's 2023. Now I feel like, okay, so when I say I've gone backwards, I feel like it's gone backwards, but I feel like 2023 now for me is like a real clean slate and clean start. Okay. It's like I've built up all my foundations for what I can do and what I'm good at doing. Yeah. Now it's a case of like, right, okay, let's really just start to focus now on where do I want to see myself in 5 years' time? Where do I want to see myself in 10 years' time? I'm at that stage of my career now where it's like, right, okay, let's get serious. Yes. Do you know what I mean? I felt like for maybe the past 3-4 years, I've really just been riding the wave.
Yeah,
cruising. And now 2023, I feel like, right, okay, I've ridden the wave. I'm back on the shore now. Let me see where I really want to go. Really thinking hard that I don't want to travel as much as what I used to travel. Yeah. All those sort of things.
So it's more of the expense of it, or you're just tired of like being away from family?
Just tired of being away from family. Yeah. I'm just tired of being away from family. I'm just tired of being tired. And the thing is, like, I always knew this, like with standing up on stage and doing education, like it's great. And it's, of course, I'll always do it. But it's very much like there is a time span on it because there's always going to be the next person coming out. And let's be honest with you, like, there's so many educators out there at the moment. There's so many people, like same like tattoos, there's so many tattoos out there. It's like
saturated now, right?
Such a saturated market. Yeah. And that's why I'm so happy that I do the photography. I do like the creative stuff, like, do all of the other stuff. But I just want to do more stuff that make me happy, like I want to do more of the stuff that makes me happy, which is obviously surrounding myself with good people, collaborating with good people, doing more of the work that I enjoy doing for people that really appreciate what I do it, rather than be like, oh, here you go, Kev, here's fucking some money.
Yeah,
we want you to do this.
Do your
job. But you don't really care. I would much rather do something for a client like abroad that turn around and say to me, rather than the first thing, oh yeah, what can you do? Like, oh, how's Jen and how's Theo? Like I'd rather, to actually know, like, how am I? How's my family?
Exactly. that they care, they see you, right?
They see me as a person, not as like a thing or like a little
Yeah.
muppet that's going to go on stage and sing and dance, you know.
How many times have you done that? Like
Song and dance.
That too. But for the money.
Do you know what? To be fair, like last year I'd done it a lot.
So that was when it was.
Yeah, and it was because it was like, right, okay, I just need to rake it back all up. But I don't do it all the time. But then there was a couple of things that happened last year that just made me realise, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do this again. Put it this way: there was a job that I had to do over in Italy. It's a 2-day job. At the end of the 2 days, is that right? At the end of the 2 days, came back home, and then this is the thing. It's like when I normally go over to a country, I basically charge them a day rate, and it's their responsibility to get the clients to come in, right? So it's nothing to do with me. If it was that way around, then it would be completely different, like in regards to how much they pay me. Turned up, and the class wasn't full, but they still done it over 2 days. Done all that. Got back home, and then they sent me the email saying, oh, unfortunately, because the class wasn't fully booked, we're only going to pay you half of what we agreed.
Are you kidding?
So mind you, I've already done it all, and then come back and I've done that. And you know what it's like? It's kind of like, it's like you doing a tattoo and you'll be like, right, okay, this
I only
X
have
amount.
half the money now.
It's half the money, and
All
I'm
right,
going to pay
let
the
me
rest.
just take that off.
Yeah, let me just get an eraser and rub that shit out. But yeah, just things like that. And that's when I just knew that. And especially, they know I've got a family. At the end of the day, ultimately, they know that I do it because I'm trying to provide for my family.
So how do you respond to that? Like, what's the best way?
Me was like, okay, no worries, thank you.
Okay, so you let it go.
I don't let things, because the thing is, there's one or two ways that I can look at it. I can either, or three. I can either be a complete arse and go all rogue and just get over them. I could either try and fight my corner, or I could just be like, okay, no worries, and just never work with them again.
Okay, so you'd rather just cut the ties and just like...
Yeah, and there's been people that's messed me about saying, oh yeah, Kev, I want to book you on this date. And then I'd block it out my diary, tell someone else to oh, I can't do that date. And then they don't even get back to me, it gets cancelled. Do you know what I mean? It's just annoying, because it's just like, this is why I said to Jen, that with doing what I do, there's no guarantee. That's the problem. There's no guarantee. And also, in order for me to make money, I need to physically go out and do something. Same like you. In order for you to make money,
the labor has to be done
to
for exchange, right?
This is another thing. This is where I've just, 2023, I think I said it to you, like, this is why I want to get into wedding photography now, because I'm at a stage in my career and in my life now where I do photography. A lot of my friends have got married, are getting married, and I'm old enough and wise enough now, and it's a day like a wedding day is such a happy day. And it's like, how nice would it be to share those memories with those people, capture it for them, and get paid. You know what I mean? The thing is, I guess with the wedding photography, is like the reason why I want to get into it is one, because it's new and it's different. And again, that's what excites me, because it's that whole new challenge to be like, oh, cool, I'm going to be doing something that's different. But I do photography anyway, so it's still very similar to what I do now. And I guess the way how I want to shoot things and be a bit different is capture it in a way that's, because if I was like working behind backstage at Fashion Week, do you know what I mean? So that real,
you're hidden, but you're still getting the natural reactions.
And of course, we were saying like I would, and even like the way how I want to capture it as well, because I tested it at my like I went to a wedding in December, and I took my camera with me. I actually took my Leica, and I had like a little flash sitting on top of it, and the way
it's a film camera?
It's similar to a film camera, so it's digital, but the flash was an old school flash that actually sat on top of the camera, so it gave, imagine like like a Kodak disposable camera that had the flash. It basically gave that real like harsh flash, and I shot like in the evening, and the images were so cool because it looked really vintagey, and I've done it in black and white as well, so it looked proper cool. And it was just cool being on the dance hall, just shooting away. People loved it. Yeah, so I guess with the whole wedding photography, it's just about brand awareness, isn't it? It's like, I guess my whole thing first is capture. So I've got 2 weddings planned this year that I'm doing. I've got one in April and one in July. Get an amazing portfolio from it. And then after I've got it, it's just all about like, Google ads, putting it on Instagram, like, just fucking putting it out there as much as I can. Because I know with wedding photography, a lot of people basically go on what you've shot. They want to look at a wedding shoot and be like, right, okay, I want my wedding shot like that.
Portfolio, right?
Yeah. So that's the difficult thing with getting into wedding photography was like, right, I need to shoot a wedding, but I can't shoot a wedding because no one knows that I can shoot a wedding because they haven't seen a portfolio. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I can shoot, it's like all my photos that I've got is all fashion stuff. But this is what I mean. It's like my friend that I'm shooting in April, he's happy for me to shoot it how I want. The other one that I'm shooting in July, it's the same with them. So it's as soon as I've got that portfolio, like it's
up from there. Right?
Yeah, it's up from there. Just advertise. And then I basically just launched it in January because I had in mind that I was like, right, I'm just going to fucking launch it and just get it started with.
Not overthink it, just kind of have a few things.
Everyone gets scared of starting, and then it's always like, oh shit, how do I start? And the best way to start is to start. Just do something. Like, it's so obvious and it's so simple, but people get scared. That's the thing.
Did you ever have a moment where you were afraid to put yourself out there? Like, I think we all started off that way, right? Like, what was it like before you got into media, social media?
And the reason why people get afraid is because they're worried about what other people can think. And it's trying to get to that stage where you just think, you know what, fuck it, I don't care what people think. Like, I don't know, I guess we're now in this whole world where we're so worried about what people's opinions are on us. So that's what prevents a lot of people from doing something.
And it's a shame, isn't it? They get ahead of themselves before they even have a chance to try and to win,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, you got to start, everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere.
Everyone starts somewhere.
But you have to start or else it's just going to it just keeps getting pushed and pushed, doesn't it?
There's a couple of things that I've got in mind that I want to do, and it's like, there's always things in the background. But then, I don't know, I guess with me, there's always sort of like, I have like particular things that I know that's going to do well, or things that I can just start off first before doing other things.
In terms of what? Like, what do you start off with?
Well, there's, for example, like I've got like an online educational platform that I've got at the moment. But then I was going to make that into a subscription model. So I'm still in the works of doing that. But then amongst, it's just like, there's other things that I would love to do. Like I'd love to do like a photography gallery, and there's other things that I'd love to do. Like I'd love to do like a little project on like maybe like photos. But I don't know, it's always about thinking, right, where am I going to fit the time to do things like that? Do you know what I mean?
That's it. We could have endless ideas, but where do we actually put the energy? What makes you choose the ones that you do have? Is it just because it's easier to get done first,
I think I always try and choose things which tie into the stuff that I'm doing now. So, for example, that photography, like wedding photography, that ties in really well because I shoot now. I edit from home. I edit from here. I can still do it.
It's remote, isn't it?
Exactly. And then, it's time, isn't it? Everything's all timing, and that's why I'm trying to wake up like a lot more earlier down the gym. Spend that time down the gym. Get it over and done with to then free up more time. Time is so limited, so limited. Yeah, and you need to use it wisely as well. I feel like and this is one thing that I feel like I do pretty well. It's like I'm quite, I do like multitasking. I quite like multitasking. Yeah, so it's like I might, for example, if we wasn't talking, I'd probably be on my phone learning about like my personal training thing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, Or like, if I'm, like some people when they listen to a podcast, they literally just sit down and listen to a podcast. I might listen to a podcast and edit photos or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to like utilize the time as much as possible.
Those dead times, right? Especially where you're just waiting for something else.
Exactly. Like when I'm down the gym, if I'm on the treadmill or if I'm like on a bike, I'll be looking through emails in between sets. I might be getting back to people. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to, or might be doing like a little bit of research. I try and really use the time I've got like really wisely.
How do you not burn out though?
I think balance. I think it's about understanding balance. And I think my balance really is going to the gym and spending time with family. That's my good balance. As long as I spend time with my family and like go to the gym or do something to do with that, then that is the balance. I do feel like, so there's this, I was listening to this podcast. I don't know if I told you about this. I was listening to this podcast and this guy was talking about, like, imagine in life you have 4 buckets, okay? Bucket number 1 is about your business, your work, anything related to that, to do with that. Bucket number 2 is about fitness and health. Bucket number 3 is about friends and family. And then bucket number 4 is recovery. So he basically talks about, like, imagine you have 10 points. How do you distribute your points within these buckets? And then it's about trying to find the balance. Like, let's just say if you want to spend more time with family, you need to then try and deduct a point from somewhere else from that bucket. So like with me at the moment, it's probably fitness is actually 3.
That's number 3.
Yeah, that's 3 points. Okay, so let me go like this. Like my business and work's probably 4 points. Fitness is 3, so that leaves me with 2 to family, and then 1 for recovery.
1 for recovery.
Yeah, and what I actually want to try and do is I want to take 1 out of fitness and stick it back into business.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my fitness is a little bit too much at the moment. I'm doing too much to do with fitness at the moment.
Yeah.
So I need to take 1 out of that and start focusing more back on the business.
Do you find it's because of your obsession again?
Exactly, yeah. So this is where then I need to just get back and just think, okay, why am I doing this? Like, you know, why do I train down the gym? It's because I want to be fit and healthy.
All right. We're basically done here. That's it, Kev. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.